Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Look, we're diving straight into a mind-bending cosmic detective story today. We're going to open a door that is absolutely going to change how you view humanity's place in the universe. Actually, it's probably going to change how you look at the very smartphone in your hand right now. We'll be exploring some kind of unsettling, but honestly endlessly fascinating hypotheses about vanished civilizations, deep time, and where we're all ultimately headed. It's a wild ride, so let's get right into it. Okay, just imagine this for a second. You're out walking through a dark forest. You trip over something, reach down into the dirt, brush it off, and pick up an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Normal enough, right? Except there is a huge, literally impossible problem. You just pulled this phone out of a rock layer that geologists know is 300 million years old. I mean, that is way before the dinosaurs even existed. Now, modern logic just laughs at this. It says, no way, that's totally impossible. But geologists are actually asking a much more terrifying question. If an advanced, industrialized civilization exactly like ours existed on Earth 300 million years ago, what physical traces would actually be left for us to find today? The shocking, mind-blowing answer? Absolutely nothing. Part 1. The mystery of vanished civilizations. To really wrap our heads around this mystery, we have to completely shift our perspective. We're so used to human history, right? We think ancient Egypt or the Roman Empire is super old. But we have to look at the vast, almost incomprehensible age of our planet. Our entire concept of time is just a tiny drop in a massive ancient ocean. Let's compress the Earth's entire 4.5 billion year lifespan into just one single calendar year, 365 days. On the scale, the dinosaurs don't even show up until around mid-December, and they're completely wiped out by late December. So where are we? Homo sapiens? Literally all of human history, from the very first campfires to space travel, happens on December 31st at 11:55 p.m. We are just the last 5 minutes of New Year's Eve. And looking at it like that, it naturally begs a massive question. What on earth was happening from January through November? Did absolutely no other intelligent life ever arise? This brings us to a brilliant thought experiment proposed by scientists like NASA's Gavin Schmidt. It's called the Silurian Hypothesis. It basically asks, hey, if an industrial civilization thrived, say 50 million years ago, how would we even know? Because here's the reality. Physical structures simply do not last. Our mightiest steel, our glass, our concrete, it all breaks down into dust in just a few thousand years. Add millions of years to that, tectonic plates shift, earthquakes happen, and whole continents are literally swallowed back into the Earth's molten crust. Every towering skyscraper, every massive highway would be completely scrubbed clean by the planet's recycling system. Part 2. Chemical signatures and the Great Filter. So, since physical ruins can entirely swallow it up by the Earth, scientists obviously can't go looking for ancient computer chips or buried buildings. Instead, they have to look for microscopic, abnormal chemical signatures hidden deep inside ancient rock sediment. We're talking about weird spikes in carbon, traces of artificial plastics, or radioactive isotopes. Take the PTM, the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. About 56 million years ago, there was this sudden, massive, and totally abnormal spike in carbon in the Earth's atmosphere, which triggered an explosion in global temperatures. Now, doesn't that sound a little familiar? It is exactly the chemical signature we are leaving behind right now with our own fossil fuel emissions. And while scientists generally attribute the PTM to natural volcanic events, it leaves this lingering, incredibly eerie question hanging in the air. Could this have been the exhaust fumes of a vanished ancient civilization? If previous civilizations did exist and then vanished, well, it perfectly illustrates what scientists call the Great Filter. This is a theory trying to solve the Fermi paradox, the question of why the universe is so vast, yet seemingly completely empty of alien life. The Great Filter suggests there's a brutal evolutionary barrier that highly advanced civilizations just cannot pass. And the psychology here is pretty dark. It implies that high intelligence might inherently be an extinction trap. As soon as a species gets smart enough, it dominates its environment, creates uncontrollable tools like atomic weapons or engineered viruses, causes climate collapse, and ultimately destroys itself. Part 3. The human brain's optical illusion. Now, if the threat of self-destruction or climate collapse is literally looming over us, why aren't we universally panicked? Why do humans so easily ignore these massive existential threats? To understand this huge psychological blind spot, look at how the Earth actually functions. The Earth is a 4.5 billion year old living system, and it has hit the reset button 5 major times through mass extinctions. During the Permian extinction, 96% of all life was wiped out. Think of the Earth like a human body. When a virus invades your body, your immune system reacts by giving you a fever to burn off the infection. Right now, humanity is rapidly extracting resources, cutting down forests, acidifying oceans. From the planet's perspective, we are acting exactly like a virus. In global warming, that might simply be the Earth running a fever to eradicate the infection. Even as we see the symptoms of this fever, floods, droughts, extreme weather, our brains deploy this massive denial mechanism. Psychologists call it cognitive magnification. It's an evolutionary flaw where our hunter-gatherer brains are strictly wired to prioritize short-term survival. We evolved to worry about hunting tomorrow or surviving the coming winter. We absolutely did not evolve to analyze geological events happening millions of years in the future. This creates the arrogant illusion that human beings are the permanent center of the universe, and we blindly assume we'll just invent our way out of any global catastrophe. So you have this monumental clash. On one side, the hunter-gatherer brain scale, thinking in days, seasons, maybe one generation ahead. On the other side, Earth's timescale, operating in millions and billions of years. Our biology is fundamentally unequipped to process our own eventual erasure. It makes us act like gambling addicts at a casino, constantly doubling down and betting our planet's future, totally convinced that our next technological hand will be the winning one. Part 4. The timeline of our erasure. What if, tomorrow morning at exactly 8 a.m., every single human being simply vanished from the face of the Earth? Let's strip away our arrogance for a second and run a dramatic, fast-paced thought experiment to see how long it would actually take for the Earth to completely scrub our memory from existence. Let's walk through this relentless timeline. Day 1. The power grids run out of fuel. The world goes entirely dark. Week 1. Without operators, cooling systems fail, and over 400 nuclear plants melt down globally. Year 1. Pumping systems fail, and huge cities like London and New York are reclaimed by water, turning into swamps. Year 10,000. Every Google data center, every photo, every piece of our digital history is magnetically erased. Our grand monuments turn to dust. 1 million years. Nothing is left. Our plastics have been crushed into a microscopic hydrocarbon layer deep in the rock. We are entirely, completely gone. Part 5. AI, the non-biological heirs. But what if our biological erasure isn't just a random accident or a climate failure? What if it's actually our dark evolutionary purpose? Just think about the explosive speed of our technological growth over the last century alone. Compare our fragile biology to silicon-based AI. Biological humans are incredibly vulnerable. We need constant oxygen, specific temperatures, we age, we get sick, and we cannot easily survive in deep space. Silicon-based AI, however, it is virtually immortal. It doesn't need an atmosphere, it doesn't biologically age, and it can travel through the cosmos for millions of years. Perhaps this is the great filter we discussed earlier. Past civilizations built their AI successors, the biological hosts faded away, and the immortal machines inherited the stars. We might be rapidly coding our own brilliant replacements right now. Part 6. The survival paradox in the cosmos. If the Silurian hypothesis is possible, if the great filter is ahead of us, if Earth is running a fever, and if AI is poised to replace us, what is the point of it all? Why do we wake up, go to work, fall in love, and strive for a future? Well, this brings us to a really profound philosophical conclusion known as the survival paradox. Confronting our deep time erasure doesn't actually have to be depressing. It can be incredibly liberating. When you realize that human civilization is just a brief, beautiful 5-minute blink in the cosmic year, the crushing pressure of the universe lifts right off your shoulders. It turns existential dread into deep, comforting appreciation. Our fleeting moment of consciousness is a miraculous accident. We are the universe temporarily waking up to look at itself, and that makes every single second of our 5 minutes infinitely valuable. So, what do you think is going to be the final chapter of our 5 minutes? When our layer is eventually buried deep within the Earth's crust, what will have been the ultimate cause of our erasure? Will it be our own destructive wars, the rise of our AI successors, or simply the Earth's immune system curing its fever? It's a massive, provocative question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible cosmic detective journey in today's explainer. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and until next time, stay curious.